Say hi to Bill Squire. It's right over there.
Hey, creepy hugs.
Mary Santora is in the room, too.
What up?
And Poundcake is back there in Studio G.
Afternoon, white people. Hello.
Because why not? Anyway, hey, you want to join us? Do it. My phones keep crashing, but I don't know. Maybe they'll work for you. The phones keep crashing back there, Cody?
I just loaded them up, so we'll see.
All right. Well, fingers crossed.
So far, so good, I think. Someone call.
216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007 if you want to send me a text. I'll see those. 35192. AlanCoxShow.com is where you can watch live. Have plenty of chances for you to win $1,000 today. About 30 past every hour. Listen for those keywords, courtesy of the Buzzard Bookie. I got a text from my brother yesterday with a photo, and it was a person I didn't recognize. Last summer, I was at home for a couple of weeks when my dad was in the hospital, and at the end of that 2 weeks, he passed away, and my siblings and I were basically in the hospital every day for 12 hours a day for 2 weeks. And I was crashing at my brother's over the course of those 2 weeks. And so when we would leave the hospital every night, there was this sports bar that was near his house, and we would go there. We would get semi-lit just about every night for those 2 weeks, and he still, because it's just down the street from his house, and he still goes there with some regularity. So I knew that the photo that he sent me of this person was from this bar, and I just texted him back a question mark, and he said, "Isn't that so-and-so from high school?" This is my middle brother, says he was a year behind me in high school. "Isn't that so-and-so?" And I said, "I don't think so. So-and-so died 20 years ago." And he goes, "I don't know about that." He goes, "This guy looks really, really familiar." So I text a buddy of mine out west, and I said, "Hey, didn't so-and-so die? Didn't he OD literally a couple decades back?" This is a guy we used to run with in junior high and high school. And for a little while, we were all kind of running with the burners and whatever, and he stayed on that path, and the rest of us did other things. So it was very much on brand when I had heard a long time ago, heard from a couple of people that he had OD'd. And he didn't.
Oh.
It's this guy. So
You killed another person.
So I'm texting with my buddy, and 20 years ago, and I go, "Are you?" He goes, "I never heard that." And I said, "Well, I heard from a couple of people," because it would not have surprised anyone that this kid would have gone that way. And I mean, kid, we would have been 30 at the time, late 20s, early 30s. And he goes, no, I think this is him. And he sends me back a screen grab of the guy's Facebook profile. And now, mind you, the guy looks terrible because he's been, whatever. He's working second shift at some joint and, but I was like, holy cow. Now, this doesn't rise to the level of me second guessing everything I thought I knew. I'm happy he's not dead. There's no scenario in which like the two of us would be catching up. Doesn't rise to that level. But I was like, wow, that guy is alive. This is a guy who went to junior high. He's alive. And now I'm curious why those people who told me, and honestly, I don't even remember who told me.
Okay, but could he have overdosed and not died? Like
Anything's
you can overdose.
Possible. Anything's possible.
So you might have just interpreted as the overdose was a death. Like he very well may have overdosed.
Well, no, they told me he died.
Oh, well, never mind.
No, plenty of people OD and don't die.
That's what I mean, yeah.
So I was like, wow. He's got this long gray beard and he's, it doesn't look good. But I was like, wow. But looks better than I bet he would if he were dead.
Especially after that long.
So that was a wild conversation yesterday. And he's probably, I don't think I'm going to take the time to go to his Facebook and see what's going on there because what am I going to do with that information? But he's probably running with that same crew, whoever's still alive from that crew. Because listen, I didn't, I drank once when I was 15, got drunk, and I said I'm not doing that anymore. But I smoked a lot of weed in high school and college. And he was kind of part of that crew. Except he didn't get off that path. I mean, he kind of, and again, he wasn't a bright guy, but he was nice. And, I just figured when these people told me that he had gone down the wrong path and it didn't end well. So it's one of the situations where it's information that I'm not really going to do anything with, but it was very, very interesting. Very interesting to me. Because I was under the impression, and again, this guy shows up at a bar near my brother's house, which means it's probably his neighborhood bar, which means I've never run into the guy when I visited my brother's house. These 20 years. I've never, for all the time we spent when my dad was in the hospital, that bar, never saw the guy. I wouldn't have recognized him if I had. Somehow, my brother, and I could tell, you can tell when somebody's like surreptitiously taking a photo because it's kind of at a weird angle. You don't want the other person to know, so you're just pretending you're looking at something on your phone and you're taking that's what it was. It was a weird angle of the guy, and I didn't know what he meant when he had initially sent it to me. So I was like, what is this? Isn't this so-and-so? No, that guy's dead. Turns out he's not. So again, my habit, I know we, tongue in cheek, I have a habit of prematurely killing celebrities or just people that I thought was dead. And maybe it's my own subconscious desire for the sweet relief of nothingness, but that I put all these people into this. But it was a wild turn of events. And I said to my brother, I said, here's what you should do. You should go up to him and ask him if it's him. And if he says yes, you throw a drink in his face and run out.
You're so dumb.
Just because wouldn't do anything, but that would be funny if you were another person there to see that. That guy just walked up and threw that guy's pint right in his face. Yeah, because he thought he was dead. He wanted to make sure. Yeah, somebody told him he was dead. He got some bad information. You throw that beer on him, and it doesn't immediately go through him and onto the wall behind him. He's not dead. He's not a ghost. He still breathes and lives. Now, what's going to be really wild is like if this guy dies in the next week. But what a roller coaster of emotion. And now I'm wondering, those people, and I couldn't tell you who initially told me this 2 decades ago that this guy had overdosed and died. But now I'm wondering what other people they might have prematurely killed off.
Is this like some sort of epidemic from people that are from Chicago, where you guys are just like, they're dead?
A lot of people die in Chicago. You might have heard.
Yeah,
maybe
like
you've
that.
watched Fox News.
Yes.
It's amazing that people go to bed every night in the city of Chicago and are not murdered on their step, going to the grocery store. Listen, watch Fox News. They'll tell you. Chicago, a city of 9 million people, it's down to maybe 35,000 because everybody's being murdered all the time.
So
You're
much
lucky if you get
murder.
home not murdered. But listen, what do you want? If one thing doesn't get you, something else will. Alan, I have a long gray beard and look like crap, but I am not dead. That's Stripper Scott. Well, we haven't heard from Stripper Scott in a while. This would be the first communique of any kind from him in quite a while. And so Stripper Scott wasn't on my radar, but I'm happy that he's not dead too.
Me too.
There you go.
Well, you want to talk about surprise?
Yeah.
Man, I'm surprised that guy's still alive. But this dude that I went to school with, still alive, still kicking. Don't know anything about him. Can't imagine he's married, but maybe he is. Maybe his wife's dead. What do I know? Maybe she's a ghost. But why were you, by the way, speaking of text, why were you sending me all those angry faces last night?
Because you're a jerk, and I'm tired of listening to you. You suggest these movies that are
What did you
a waste
watch?
But you sent it
of
right
my
after
time.
he told us that Gordon Lightfoot died, and I was like, was this a hoax or something? But it was.
Well, because I can't
Yeah.
trust anything he says now. So
What
he
did
says
you- what did
Gordon
I
Lightfoot
do?
dies. I don't know if it's real or
What
not.
did I do?
We watched Hellhole.
I didn't watch Hellhole.
I did, because you
I
said
no. All I said was there's a Polish horror movie called Hellhole that a lot of people are freaking out about on Netflix. I didn't recommend it. I didn't even watch it.
well, don't,
How is that on me?
because I'm mad at you.
Why?
Because I'm displacing anger. So let it happen.
Lucky me. It's
No, it was just that
going to be one of those days.
It was therapy day.
It was a therapy day.
Well, that's what that got to do with me.
No, it was
We all
it was fine. It's like kind of a cool premise, but like we were talking about yesterday, I just don't think horror movies ever have good endings. Like this one just kind of ended. And it was like an okay premise, and it was like It wasn't very scary. It wasn't very jumpy. It wasn't very bloody.
Subtitled?
It was subtitled. Yes, they speak Polish, and then obviously subtitle in English. But I don't know. It was just kind of like 6 out of 10 overall.
Huh.
It was
That's
fine.
pretty good.
Is
6
it?
out of 10 for a horror movie? There
I don't
are a
know.
lot. I think by genre, there's a very high percentage of horror films that stink.
Yes.
As opposed to rom-coms or
Yes.
dramas, or a lot of horror movies stink.
Yeah, I agree.
All
Well, and
right,
then there
6
was
out of
just-
10 for Hellhole then.
And then there was just a lot of parts of it that made no sense. They didn't tie into any of the plot lines. It was just like a weird, I mean, this isn't giving everything away. There's at one point this guy like moves, he finds a hole in the wall that's all like
Is it the
gooey
hell
and gross. No, the hell hole's like a well.
Is it a glory hole?
No, well, that's what Brian was making the joke, that it was a glory hole. But then there was just an eyeball in it. And it was like, this doesn't relate to anything. There's no reason for this eyeball to be in the wall. It doesn't connect to any part of the storyline. And they spent like 5 minutes on him trying to get whatever's in this hole out. And it was an eyeball. It was just it was not a very good movie.
All right, well, I didn't see it.
Well, I
And
thought
I didn't
that you
recommend.
did.
I didn't even recommend it.
Then I must have misinterpreted the entire thing because I thought you watched it and said we should watch it.
No. All I
No, you
said
said
was there
something
was a
about-
lot of people were talking about this movie and freaking out over it.
I don't know what they would have
That's
possibly
it's
freaked
probably
out over.
Netflix probably has their interns leaving these reviews online so people will pay attention to it.
Yeah, it was not very good.
All right, well, there you go.
But
Six-
it's only 90 minutes.
That is a 6 out of 10 / thumbs down.